Black doctor saves racist patient. She regrets it when she wakes up Dr. Marissa. Carter had spent years working as a renowned surgeon in a busy urban hospital. Her reputation for precision and expertise was impeccable. But it wasn't just her skill that made her stand out. It was her unshakable resolve to treat every patient with the same care and respect, no matter their background. One rainy night, she was called in for an emergency surgery. The patient was a woman in her early 40s, unconscious after a car accident. Dr. Carter quickly assessed the situation and recognized the severity of the injuries. Her team worked quickly to stabilize the woman, who had broken bones and internal bleeding as she prepared for surgery. She overheard a nurse mention the patient's name, Deborah Hill. The name struck a chord. Deborah had been known in the local community for her outspoken racist views. Marissa had heard the rumors Deborah had often publicly insulted people of color, including during a recent speech at a local community meeting. Some had even claimed she had refused medical treatment from Black doctors in the past. But none of that mattered now. Marissa had a life to save without hesitation. Dr. Carter took charge, performing the surgery flawlessly. The hours passed, and when the procedure was finally over, Marissa couldn't help but feel a sense of pride. She had saved a life, and that was what mattered most. The next few days were critical for Deborah's recovery. Dr. Carter personally oversaw her post-op care, ensuring that everything went smoothly. Yet, throughout it all, Deborah remained unconscious. Marissa couldn't help but wonder what would happen if the woman ever woke up. Would she even remember that a Black doctor had saved her life? Finally, Deborah stirred. Her eyes fluttered open, and she was greeted by a nurse who explained the accident and her condition. Deborah was groggy, but slowly becoming aware of her surroundings. As her vision cleared, she saw Dr. Marissa Carter standing beside her. Deborah's face immediately darkened, and her voice was thick with disbelief and anger. "You," she muttered, struggling to sit up. "You're the one who saved me." Marissa remained calm, her face a mask of professionalism. "I was the surgeon who performed your surgery." "Yes." Deborah's expression twisted into something between disgust and regret. "I can't believe it. I've been saved by someone like you." Her words were sharp, tinged with the same venomous rhetoric that had made her infamous in the community. Marissa felt a pang of disappointment, but she refused to let it show. "I did what I'm trained to do," she replied simply. "I save lives." Regardless of who they are, Deborah, now fully awake and more aware of her situation, sank back into the pillows, a look of shame creeping across her face. The realization was starting to sink in. She had been saved by someone she had openly disrespected, and even vilified. Someone she had once believed wasn't worthy of the same respect as others. Her mind raced with all the times she had publicly criticized people of color, including Black doctors. She had been blind to the fact that talent and skill weren't determined by race. And now she had been forced to confront the painful reality of her ignorance. "Why?" Deborah asked after a long silence, her voice quieter now. "Why would you help me after everything I've said?" Marissa took a deep breath before answering. "Because I believe that no matter how someone treats me, my job is to help them. It's not about what you've said or believed in the past. It's about who you are in this moment. Right now, you need help, and I'm here to give it." Deborah's eyes filled with tears, the weight of her own prejudice pressing down on her chest. For the first time, she felt the full extent of her past actions and the harm they had caused. But as she looked at the woman who had saved her life, the realization was clear: she had been wrong all along. "I don't know what to say," Deborah whispered, the regret in her voice undeniable. "I've been so wrong, so hateful. I never thought about people like you as equals. I never thought about the good you do, no matter who you are." Marissa looked at her calmly. "It's never too late to change, Deborah. You've been given a second chance, not just at life, but at understanding and growth. What you do with that chance is up to you over the following weeks. Deborah's physical recovery went smoothly, but it was her emotional and mental recovery that took more time. Marissa visited her regularly, not as a doctor, but as someone offering guidance when needed. Deborah, once filled with hatred, began to question her past beliefs. She slowly started engaging with the people she had once judged, opening herself to new perspectives and acknowledging the mistakes of her past in the end. Deborah's story became a powerful example of change and redemption. She publicly apologized for her past words and actions, and even began to advocate for diversity and inclusion in her community. The woman who once belittled others for their race had become an ally. And as for Dr. Marissa Carter, she continued her work as a skilled surgeon, knowing that no matter how hard it was, helping others was always the right thing to do, even when they didn't deserve it at first. Morale of the story: we all have the power to change, even when our past is filled with mistakes. True growth comes from confronting our flaws, learning from them, and making amends. Compassion and kindness are the first steps toward healing, not just for others, but for ourselves.